All right, welcome to the IU Hoops halftime report as your Indiana Hoosiers currently down 36-29 to Wichita State at the half. I'm Jared Morris, not at my usual spot, just holding the phone right now, so sorry if it's a little bit more wobbly than it usually is. Rough half there for Indiana. You think about the keys that we talked about in our Banner Monday episode. One of them was obviously get the ball inside, and when Indiana has done that, they've been relatively successful offensively. Juwan has obviously been the best option that Indiana has had. They've got to continue to do that. It was nice to see Al, get a couple of those three-pointers there late in the half. And what was nice about that is Indiana, Al was actually patient, in getting those shots. And that was nice to see, and he knocked them down. And Indiana's probably going to have to make a few of those in the second half. But the big issue in the first half, and the reason why Indiana's down by 7 points, is the fact that Marcus McDuffie just absolutely went off. And we talked about on Banner Monday how important it was going to be for Justin Smith to have a big game, both in terms of being a guy who could get some offensive rebounds and help Indiana create offense that way and in transition, and because he's really the only guy who matches up well with McDuffie. And Justin just hasn't been that answer. And, who knows? He didn't play much there late in the first half. They put Juwan Morgan on McDuffie, and, McDuffie did hit 1 3 against him, but, Morgan certainly slowed him down more than anybody else. The problem with that, as we talked about, is Juwan carries such a big load on the offensive end and is going to have to carry a big load on the offensive end. He's going to get worn down chasing Marcus McDuffie all over the court. So that, to me, is just not sustainable given what Juwan's going to have to do on offense. So I don't really know what you do there. I think you have to give Justin another shot, see if he's ready to go in the second half. But he's just got to compete better against McDuffie. He's got the physical tools to do it, but he's got to get out there on him and deny him and not let him get the threes. Now, granted, one of those threes McDuffie hit was, from Ellettsville, but still, I think the effort, the awareness were lacking a little bit on that end, at least in terms of what you have to do to guard a guy, the level of McDuffie. Now, on the bright side, one of the things that we talked about was, that's my daughter in the background, by the way. One of the things that we talked about was second chance points, and Indiana is doing a nice job when it comes to second chance points. The Hoosiers have 9 second chance points. Wichita State only has 2. So that, really, that combined with those late threes by Al Durham really keeping Indiana in this. From a guard perspective, Indiana's guards are going to have to play better. Now, I didn't think this was going to be a game where any of the guards were going to have a big offensive explosion. And Al finally got something going there late. And I actually thought he drove to the basket, nicely a couple times too, didn't get the calls. But Devontae and Rob are going to have to be smarter when they're driving. Some unforced errors from those guys, some really just, kind of driving in and just throwing it right up at a shot blocker, which may as well just be a turnover. You got to be smarter than that when you're driving in against a 7-footer. And obviously, you want to penetrate, you want to attack the paint, but you've got to be doing that to pass, and guys need to cut, and there needs to be some more movement there. So, some of those lanes that Indiana has had, that the guards have had, just aren't going to be there against a team as good defensively as Wichita State. So, you saw Race Thompson get in there at the end of the first half. He did not look ready to play, missed an assignment defensively. You could kind of, I suppose, excuse that a little bit given that he hasn't had much time on the court, and this is, a difficult team to play against. But if he's going to play minutes, he's going to have to be better. I'm surprised that we have not seen Evan Fitzner yet. He really, played well in the Arkansas game and has given some decent minutes of late. I wonder, especially if this lead stays where it is, if Indiana doesn't get Fitzner out there to give a little bit of a different look, and try and get him some outside shots, try and play some high-low with him. Deron Davis has been okay, but I feel like, given how much Indiana needs to get the ball inside, he's got to post harder. He's got to post tougher and be able to get the ball down there on the block. Because, look, that's where Indiana's going to score. So you've got to keep going to Morgan. He's been pretty efficient. He's 4 of 8 overall, 3 of 4 from the line. But continue to attack. I don't think that the guards need to stop driving into the paint. Just be a little bit smarter about their choices to shoot, and try and get the ball to Juwan. Because the path for Indiana to win this game, to score more points offensively, is to get the ball inside, find some ways to go inside out to get some outside shots, and then get fouled and make your free throws. And so far, so far so good at the line, 5 for 6. No, 5 for 8. Sorry, Devontae missed those 2. So, look, I think at the end of the day, Indiana's going to have to find an answer for McDuffie. And I think they're going to have to find an answer for McDuffie that is not Juwan Morgan. And if they don't, it's going to be really difficult to make up 7 points. So, you know, all these other things that we're talking about, you've got to slow that guy down on the other end. And someone has to take it upon themselves to just say, I'm not going to let this guy get the ball. I'm going to stop him. I'm going to crowd him. You know, I'm going to make him put it on the floor. I'm going to trust my help. You know, I see, you know, Michael say Zach could guard him. I mean, look, Zach's going to give you everything he's got. I don't know that Zach right now is a great matchup for him. Zach is a junior. A healthy Zach maybe could have. And I'm not saying you don't try it, but, you know, we'll see. You know, at some point, maybe you try and deny him the ball, you know, put a smaller guy on him. I don't know. Justin is really the guy who has to do it, but he's got to be locked in defensively. So Indiana has to figure that out. They did a nice job of getting the big guy for Wichita State in foul trouble, Echenike. So, you know, he only played 5 minutes there, which was good. That was part of the path to victory. But now he's going to be back in, you know, after sitting in that first half. So you got to account for him as well. So, look, we'll see. Hoosiers behind the 8 ball a little bit here, down 7. But if they can, you know, get the ball inside, if they can find a way to slow McDuffie down and continue to do a nice job on the glass and convert their offensive rebounds into points, then, you know, we're going to have a chance to come back here. But if it's more of the same in the second half that we saw in the first half, then really the path back is going to be Indiana, you know, needing to make some threes. And that has not been a recipe for consistent success all year. So I really don't want to count on it. Anyway, thanks for bearing with the shaky camera as I stand here in my hallway and do this. But Andy will be hosting the post-game show. Ryan will be there. Coach will be there. Enjoy those guys. Hopefully it is a celebratory post-game show talking about a comeback against Wichita State, and we're looking ahead to playing in New York in Madison Square Garden. Enjoy the rest of the game, everybody. Thanks for being here, and those guys will talk to you on the post-game show.